Welcome to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those government people that make regulations and ordinances that affect you out there.
That's right. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Oxford Township, or Addison Township, these are the people that you recently elected. And the committees and the commissions that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you showed up for that meeting or not. And that is why we're here.
Well, partially. We're also here because we know in every meeting there's humor.
And rumors.
And rumors. He usually sets the rumors, so you want to pay close attention as we go through this because there are rumors buried in there as well.
And some rumors, if you repeat them often enough, take on the semblance of truth.
Yeah, they do. And if you don't attend these meetings, as he's pointed out, a lot of this humor will come up and it'll bite you. Be careful.
Ooh. The yoke will be on you.
Yes, it could be. Well, let's talk about a couple meetings that occurred. And the first one is going to be the Oxford Village Planning Commission meeting, which was on November 16th. Mm-hmm. And they also had a Pollyant Trail meeting on November 16th,
good old
the same day.
Trail.
Yeah. We haven't reported on the Pollyant Trail in some time. So I figure it's about time, huh? Let's talk about the Oxford Village Planning Commission first of all.
Meaning
then.
There hasn't been a Parks and Rec meeting at Addison Township.
No, right. I got that.
He loves
right.
that.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. Yep. It's. By the way, they're about to light up the Christmas tree. I think the first part of December.
Oh.
And check the Addison Township and particularly Leonard.
Well, it should be an electrifying event.
Yeah, and check when Leonard is going to light up because when they turn the tree on, the whole town lights up. It's pretty nice. So, you people out there, friends and relatives, will want to attend, I'm sure.
They light that tree up and all the lights go dim in the town.
Yes, you noticed that too, huh? Okay. All right, well, the little lady that pedals the bike that runs the generator kind of slows down.
Ramming speed.
It does. Anyway, it's a great town. You folks haven't been there? Watch out for the stoplight. Oh, by the way, there is none. Okay, so be careful when you stop. Okay, with that being said, let's get on with the Oxford Village Planning Commission meeting, shall we?
All right.
Okay, you know that Gary Douglas is the new chairperson for this Planning Commission, and doing a pretty good job too. And he has
we had a misname there for a while.
We did?
We did.
What did we call him?
Duel or something like that.
Duel?
Yeah, it was on one of your notes.
You're probably talking about Gary
But now
Deeg.
we've corrected it.
Probably talking about Gary Deeg.
No.
No, Duel.
Yeah, you had him. Yeah, it's okay.
He's spreading a rumor.
It's okay, I forgive you.
It's another rumor.
I forgive you.
Check your notes.
I did.
Okay, you did, okay. Adam Johnson is on that board, and Jack Curtis. Now, Bonnie Staley is on that board, but she was absent, and Maureen Helmuth, and she was absent as well. And first thing they did, of course, is approve their absenteeism, right? And then they did the pledge. And after that, the agenda was discussed. The agenda, there was one addition that they said should be put on, and that was Rose Bema. Or Bema. I think people get confused on that. It's actually Bema.
Bema, yeah.
Yeah.
B-E-J-M-A.
So we want to correct that, folks. So anyway, Rose applied for a position or a seat on the Planning Commission, and that's going to be discussed a little bit further down the line here. Okay. Minutes were read. October
Rose
18th.
just lost her seat, didn't she, on the
on the village council. Yes,
Yeah.
she did.
Okay.
Dave Bailey won that position, I guess.
Okay.
So Dave Bailey's going to sit on it. And talking about the council right now, just kind of off
An aside.
on the side. You have Eric Dolan, that's newly elected. You have Tom Kinnis, who's newly elected to the village council, as well as Dave Bailey.
Okay.
And of course, Helmuth, Maureen Helmuth, her term hadn't expired yet. She's got 4 years, got 2 years to go more yet.
Yep.
And of course, the president of the council,
Sue Basardi.
Sue Basardi. And she's got another 2 years, I believe, to complete as well. So they weren't in competition at the last primary and general election. So that being said about the council, let's get on with this, shall we? Okay. Detour.
Tangent.
Right. So the first thing that they did talk about after the minutes, which were approved quickly, was an ad hoc village economic village economic development meeting, and there was one on November 17th. By the time this is aired, they will have had
There's a village economic development meeting, and then there's the Downtown Development Authority.
Right, and then there is a
How
town.
are they different?
Well, the Downtown Development Authority, the DDA, handles strictly the downtown area and is zoned into about 3 different sections, is broken down. And they have their...
And the other one covers the outskirts?
Yeah, I guess you might say that. No, the economic development is trying to bring new business into the area, as opposed to trying to keep the ones that are there up to date and so forth. Their facades and getting
CDBGs.
yeah, those. And yeah, those. And what are those called?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Community Development Block Grants.
Yes, okay.
You
And
quiz me on that one every week.
I do, but that's just so that the public out there will understand what that is.
I do.
Because you like abbreviations.
It almost sounds like a yogurt, you know that?
Well, it's kind of like, well, you're talking Mickey D, you're talking McDonald's, you know.
That's right.
What's a Mickey D? I don't know.
Oh.
But
Or
anyway,
T-Ho.
block grant. It is what it is. Anyway, let's get on with this or we'll never get finished. You right?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, they...
You ever took geometry?
Did I?
Yeah, get off the tangent.
Okay. Yeah, right. Put him on a slow boat to wherever. But anyway, public hearing, the whole purpose behind this was a special land use for the Ox Bar and Grill, Ox Bar and Grill.
Land use.
Yeah, it's a land use, special use, and it's to have outdoor dining in the wintertime. So it has to be approved, and you have to pull a permit on it. Well, we talked about this before, right?
Yeah, they have a lot of spiked hot chocolate.
Spiked hot chocolate. Yeah. But anyway, a number of questions came up concerning what Ox Bar and Grill wanted to do, and unfortunately, the manager for the bar wasn't at this meeting at the beginning, and which kind of ruffled the feathers of a few people. That look, we have a public hearing in which the person who requested a public hearing isn't here. What's with that? Okay. But anyway, he was telephoned.
It don't bode well.
Right, it doesn't bode well. Actually, the village manager, Joe Young, he contacted him and he said, "I'm on my way. Don't shut it down. I'll be there." So anyway, the guy showed up a few minutes later. Chris Corey was in a position at that time. He's a consultant. He said, "Well, I can actually present this proposal, that the bar wants." He said, I'm well aware of it. He said, "We do have an ordinance in place, for it. It's just a matter of accepting or acknowledging a permit to be issued, for this."
Is this thing on the street side or is it on the sidewalk side?
This one's going to be on the sidewalk side, on the street side. You know what I'm talking about?
You just...
I could have just said yes, and he would have stood here, with kind of
I
a
should have
strange
said,
look.
is it on the sidewalk with the park side or the sidewalk on the street side? But you said the sidewalk on the street side.
On the street
Okay.
side, yes. And of course, the ordinance, the regulations are that you need 5 feet of walk space on that sidewalk.
So they're asking for a variance.
Well, it's not really a variance because there's the room to do this, to put the seating in.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they also have to maintain a 4-foot wide
Fence.
path.
Isn't there supposed to be a fence around
There'd
it?
be a fence too, but there's a 4-foot wide aisle, for the seating, for the chairs and tables.
Yeah.
When you're inside, you can't, have people climbing over tables to get to them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So, anyway, so that all had to be calculated. Well, anyway, the gentleman showed up, and then they were loaded for bear. I'm saying the planning commission was loaded for bear, loading the shotgun. And the fellow who represented the bar, I'm trying to think of what his name was. Anyway, he is the manager. And the first question posed to him was, what are you going to do with the snow in the wintertime? On the sidewalk, whose responsibility is that going to be? And to get rid of the snow, within...
Whose is it now?
Right now, it would be the village is handling it.
Okay.
Or the sidewalk, or the person in front of the store.
But now you're going to have an enclosed area
Right.
that could get 5 feet of snow.
Could get 5 feet of snow. And talk about 5 feet of snow. We'll talk more about it when we come back. Right after this, folks.
Marine Corporal Patrick Gallagher came here from Ireland. Serving his new country was what he wanted to do. It was the Vietnam War. He was there. Funny thing about war, protecting your buddies becomes number one. On an early July morning of 1966, in a foxhole near Canlow, in came an enemy grenade. Gallagher quickly kicked it out, and it exploded. Another came in. Gallagher threw himself over it to protect his buddies. It didn't go off. He quickly threw it out. It exploded. He won the Navy Cross and later gave his life in that war. There's a new missile destroyer coming along. It should be called the Patrick Gallagher. With your help, it could be. Go online to Patrick Gallagher USMC petition to lend your support.
Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kinney.
And we are talking about the Village Planning Commission meeting that they had. Blah, 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 blah.
And, you never get it out.
Yeah, right. And there was a special meeting that they held for a public hearing. And the public hearing was to determine if a outdoor dining arrangement could be held at the Ox Bar and Grill.
So what did the public say?
Well, they said snow. You need to address that and figure out what to do with it because all the businesses along there have to clear the sidewalk in front of their place. But when the graders come by, they do push snow up on the curb.
Is this the only place in Oxford that's requesting a winter outside dining facility?
There may be others that, you know, they have the ability to do that
first?
under the ordinance. This is the first for Ox Bar and Grill.
Oh, but not the first in Oxford.
It probably would be, come to think of it. I'm
In the
thinking of
winter,
history,
I mean.
in the winter.
Okay.
Yep. And I think the other one is 51st Street, and I think they were going to apply, but and
Well,
they
they're
still
just
may.
about ready to set a precedent.
Yeah, they are. So anyway, and actually we can talk about that. And you are jumping ahead of the cart here.
And you said I didn't read your notes.
Well, you probably have poison ivy if you did. It's all coated with poison ivy. So anyway, no, it's
well,
just
thanks
another
for telling
rumor
me
we're
that.
going to run. Anyway, so the other issue was the heating lamps. You know, they require propane.
Oh, yeah.
How are you going to anchor those lamps? You know, are they going to be falling over on people as they're, you know, having their dinner or their lunch or their whatever they're eating in the cold weather? Their Eskimo pie?
Are those the kind that have sort of like an umbrella and they radiate heat down?
Yeah, they
Okay,
are.
all right.
But you have to have a propane tank too, you know, for that. And I think they're
But
housed
but
within.
yeah, they're self-contained.
Yeah. Yeah, but to make sure that they're anchored from a safety standpoint so they don't get knocked over. But you know what?
Is that just a big weighted base or
Yeah.
what?
It is. Now, the 24th Street bar has seating in the back of the building, and they use it in the wintertime.
Okay.
They have heating units there. So you know what? To answer your question, it's not the first. It's just the first on the street side.
Right.
I think
Okay.
that's happening.
A
So,
precedent.
yeah. So we've established that, folks. They're running in second place at this point. So anyway, so that was addressed.
And the Casa Real will be far behind.
They could be, but they're probably going to jump on this, although I don't know if there's enough space where the sidewalk runs alongside Casa del Real.
Isn't it as wide?
I don't think it is. I think it kind of jots out.
Oh,
in
does
front
it?
of-
Okay.
You know, take a note. Check
I'll
that.
take a note.
Put on that stack of yellows over there.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, right. So anyway, it has to be approved by the fire chief too. So that's another thing. For the special land use, Jack Curtis said, Jack Curtis on this board, very knowledgeable guy, also serves on the township board. And he said they need to have a deadline for this thing, some type of arrangement that if anything happens to the business, it's closed or it's moved to another city or whatever, that they lose the permit.
Kind of like a sundown thing.
Yeah, kind of sundown thing.
All right.
So anyway, so that was pretty much agreed upon. And They could have went on further with other requirements on this, but Jack Curtis said, I don't see any reason why we can't go ahead and approve this with conditions. And so he listed a group of conditions required, to get this out there. And it looks like then it'll go forward and you'll see Ox Bar and Grill have an outdoor dining.
Can you imagine, though? There you are out in the winter, and they serve you a hot meal. Eat it quick before it gets cold.
They're serve mostly ice cream out there.
I see. Well, it won't melt then, will it?
No, right. So anyway, so that pretty much covered that part of it. December 20th, let me see, 2017, licenses will be issued by the state for marijuana medical use.
Licenses.
That's when it's going to start. Yeah.
Local licenses, or does the license have to be within the village?
Well, here's the thing. The village actually has to decide, and that was the second issue that came up, is are you going to have an ordinance for marijuana medical use within the village here? And they're kind of holding off. The Planning Commission said, well, we really can't dictate, to the council what's going to happen here because the law really doesn't come into effect, or they're not going to issue licenses until 2017.
Okay.
I
know the previous one
December.
just caused a big muddle.
Right. And they said, do you want to be able to sell the marijuana in town or not? That's
On the street?
No, has to be in a building, but
Oh,
they
wow.
have to, well, there's several licenses required. You need a license, of course, to sell it. You need a license to process it. You need a
License to buy it?
Yeah,
You
license
do.
to buy it. You do.
You need a special permit card, don't you?
You do.
Yeah.
Yep. And you need a license. Actually, the dealer needs a license to carry it from the processing plant to the retail outlet. So there's a lot involved there. Can you say ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching?
Yeah.
So the question is, do you really want to have it here in Oxford? Some villages or towns can say that they don't want to sell it within.
We're not quite as liberal as Ann
Right.
Arbor.
Yeah, well, there you got to be a little careful because as it's sold, the village actually gets a kickback of a percentage of the amount sold out of the town.
Money or marijuana?
Money. They got marijuana, they could probably make more money. But I think it's based on the volume that's sold.
I see.
Here.
Oh.
So anyway, and I'm not at all sure of that too. So you might want to take another note. I don't know if it's a percentage
It's
of
a
the
very
overall
odd.
state.
It's a very odd thing. It's technically a drug, but you can't get it at a drugstore.
No. And you know what? That's kind of confusing too because, if it's a drug, why isn't it controlled by drugstores?
I mean, what is it?
decent people are licensed.
Foxglove has digoxin, but you don't go out and sell Foxglove on the street.
No. So I don't know why they've set up a whole new organization to handle this. When a doctor can prescribe medication, to a patient, I mean, you go to the drugstore and you get it, and why wouldn't you do it the same way with marijuana? I would think.
Was it
as a medical.
digoxin or digitalis? Digitalis. yeah.
Digitalis.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, we covered the medical portion of it here pretty well. Let me
Wandered
see.
around that one.
Yes, we did.
As in a stupor.
Right. Anyway, so they said, well, even if you do a marijuana ordinance here, you're not going to get it right, the first time around, according to Dave Bailey, who spoke before the group. So they recognize that as well, that there probably be some issues evolve. You cannot sell it on the street corner, so that's a good thing. When you talk to police, I've talked to them about, legalizing marijuana on the street, period, as they do in California and some other states now that have been approved during the general election. And they're adamantly, most of them speak highly against it,
Oh, sure.
They just don't want to deal with it.
Especially if you're driving.
Oh, yeah, and that's what they'll be doing. So let me see. Rose Bima. Yeah, she came up as a candidate and went over her credentials. She served on the Planning Commission before in previous years. She's been in the community since 2005. She was endorsed by Dave Bailey, who was a previous council member and president of the council, and also Susan Bassardit said that it makes sense to have Rose Bima on this Planning Commission.
Good references.
Yep. And so the Planning Commission approved it, and therefore they will send it now to the Village Council, who will actually make the ultimate decision to approve her to get in.
Got 2 good votes anyhow.
2 good votes, yep. And with that, we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minutes. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we have just been talking about what goes on in the Oxford Village Council. No, not Council. Planning Commission.
They
I'm just
said.
seeing if you're alert.
Twiddledum and Twiddledee.
Okay, he is alert. Okay, we got him on board, so now let's talk about the Pollyann Trail. It's been a while since we talked about Pollyann Trail.
Yes, indeed.
They have quite a network of trails throughout not only our township, Addison Township, and a lot of other townships within the
That
state.
originally was an old rail bed, wasn't it?
Well, parts of it was, yes,
Okay.
where the railroad companies gave
Especially
it
where
up.
the trail is.
Right. Well, parts of it, yeah. There's others that aren't part of the rail bed.
I see.
But anyway, they go as far as I understand across the straits even. They're up to the straits. So
I don't think they call it the Pollyann Trail. at
No,
that
they have
point.
other names
There's
for 'em.
connecting
They're
trails.
connecting trails.
Yeah.
They just, they got like Fred's Trail, David's Trail, Pollyan's Trail, things like that. But they all connect. So you folks can ride your bikes or walk for quadrillion miles practically on these trails. But anyway, the manager, the trail manager, who's Linda Moran,
Oh, yeah, she's new now.
she is really upbeat,
Good.
smart,
good.
and she's doing some pretty neat things. We're going to talk about some of those things as we go along here. They're going to be putting up 1 mile markers, which they don't have right now. They have a Boy Scout who's working towards his Eagle Scout. He's going to be working with her on this.
Good.
And there's
good.
other also like various safety stop sign areas and those kind of things that they're going to work on, and signs. So the signage is one part of what the trail is dealing with right now.
Is there winter activity on that trail?
Oh yes, yeah.
Like
They have
Cross-country
cross-country skiing, that
Okay.
kind of thing. Yeah, they do. You want to
sliding-
go out there?
Sliding, slipping, falling down.
Yeah, right. All the above. Okay, so anyway, another thing that they did talk about was invasive species. That, guess what? They have a solution for getting rid of these invasive species.
Are we talking animals or plants? Sounds like 20 questions.
You know the Phragmite?
Yeah, phragmites.
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah.
And also poison ivy.
Also known
Hey,
as pampas grass.
Yes, and poison ivy though.
Poison ivy?
Yeah,
Well, is that an invasive species?
it is. If you don't want it, it's there.
I see. Well,
And guess
that's
what?
an unwanted species. Let's
You're
put
ne-
it that way.
yeah.
I don't think it's invasive.
But you're never going to guess what the solution is to get rid of this stuff.
You put them together.
Let them eat each other.
Right.
No, you put goats in with them. Goats. It's true. It's goats. And they say that, let me see, 30 goats can clear 1 square mile in 10 days.
Now we have to hire a goat herd.
You do. And the cost of the goat herd is going to be roughly about $1,250 a week. But boy, can they eat.
No ifs, ands,
Can
or
you imagine something that can eat poison ivy? These
they
goats
like
will-
the stuff?
I guess they do. And how do they keep them off the path, though? They have little barriers, like they run alongside of where they want them to eat. They set a path for them, say, go get them, and they go through and they munch it right to the ground. Phragmites and everything.
It's amazing. Technology.
It is. And I think, the trail manager came up with this idea. And she got the idea, I think, by researching through the DNR.
So,
And it works.
where do you get a goat herd?
She's already located a goat herd.
I see. But there's a herd of goats, but there's a goat herd, the guy that controls them.
Yeah, he's a goat herder.
Oh.
That's who he would be.
Well, it's not like, not a shephherder. It's a
No.
shepherd.
No, but don't you think that's a great solution?
Why, it's perfect.
Yeah, it has worked. Well, then they said, well, wait a minute now. These goats, they leave behind, can you say doo-doo?
Well, yeah, there's seeds and stuff like that, but
Well,
that
she
only leaves
she
more for them.
explained-
That only leaves more for them to eat next year.
But get this, as they leave their little deposits,
I see.
they're kind of like deer. They're
Mementos.
Like little ball bearings.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is get a super duper blower and you just blow it off the trail.
Onto someone else's
Onto
property.
somebody else's property. Do you have one that runs by your property?
What?
You don't have a trail that goes by your property.
They're thinking.
Well, they're
about,
lucky to have roads
They're
out there.
thinking about. Brandon Township is thinking about contributing some land to another trail that goes up north, but
Okay.
nothing has ever come of it yet.
You need to put in a vote or a suggestion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that
Maybe
could work.
the iron something or other, I forget what it's called.
You have to build big bridges all over in the spring because you never get to them. You have
Yeah.
to paddle.
That's part of the adventure.
Part of the adventure. Hey, you know, you could be onto something.
That could be.
You could charge for canoes. You could work that out.
Well, weren't they
Brandon?
going to do that over at the Koenig
They were going
the
to.
gravel pits, and
Yep. But, you know,
instead of a wild adventure area, now they're thinking about making it
Yeah.
into a subdivision or something, aren't
yep. But back then, you know, there's really a lot of really smart residents that objected. So it didn't go any further. That would be you folks out there we're talking about. Okay. Wants. Okay. She said that I have a list of wants down the line because they said, is there anything you need? He said, well, I have some wants. That's good. You know what wants are? She
Yeah.
says, I have a tool shed, but no
they?
tools.
Well,
in it."
there's wants and then there's needs.
Right. She has a tool
I
shed.
want a lot of stuff for Christmas.
Right. She has a tool shed, but she has no tools.
Oh, wow.
So let's do something about it. She
It's like
says,
a garage without a car.
all right. She needs 2 gas-powered hedge trimmers. And she said, these are really powerful hedge trimmers. Can you say, cut down a tree? No, anyway, so they're pretty tough stuff.
Stand back, goats.
Yeah. Yeah. She needs a wheelbarrow, and which is a fairly simple thing to get. And she needs a weed whip. Now, this isn't the standard weed whip. It has a chain on it, I think. It can beat the crap out of
Really?
whatever is in front of it. There's where you move the goats.
Also
Get the
called
goats all the way.
a machete.
Just about. Just about. Hedge trimmers. She needs gloves and eye protection, you know, for the people that are using this equipment. Estimated, they said, how much is it going to cost? She said, well, I think I could get by with about $2,000. They said, well, okay, we can't do it under the existing budget because, you know, we're going into year end. But in the new budget, about January, when we start formulating that, we can probably
Throw
fit
it
that
in.
in there.
Throw it
Yep,
in there.
Throw it in there. New business. Water on the path. There's water on the path, and what do you do about it? There's
Wait
a
for it to
certain area
freeze.
that's low.
Wait for it to freeze and shovel it off.
Right. Yeah, you could do that. Well, how about if you put a bag of rocks in there? That's what it's called, bag of rocks.
Bag of rocks.
And you actually layer rocks below the surface. They have to, of course, dig it out.
I think
and
I
put
got
these
one of
rocks
those
in.
for Christmas once.
Did you? Bag of rocks? No, you got to mix up with coal. Rocks don't catch fire. Coal does. Did you notice that?
That's something useful.
Yeah, right. Okay, so anyway, they are going to try this out with a bag of rocks. Although Bruce Pearson, who's on this board also, who's the supervisor of Addison Township, he says, you know, the problem is where the water drains along that path. He said it drains right onto the path. He said we need to really dig and channel that water away. He said, I think that would solve about
A
90%
swale?
of the problem. Yeah, one of those.
Oh.
Could do that. And what I want to know now, this is pretty much covers the Pollyant Trail and what they had to say. What's coming up?
Well, it's the end of the month. There's not a lot going on. The first one that's coming up is what? The Oxford Area Cable Communications meeting on the 28th,
Oh, that one. Good.
next Monday.
That would be
And after that, on 12/3, the Christmas parade, which is not a meeting, but a lot of people get together and meet.
But we're going to be there.
That's right. We'll be marching down
You
the
be
street.
there.
And on 12/5 at 7:30, the Addison, oh gosh, it's the Parks and Rec Department again.
I love it. Great bunch of
And that's
people
it.
over there. Okay, that's it.
That's it.
I'm Elgin Eccles.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
We'll catch you next time right here on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.